Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, Pimp Sun Kiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, with a reality read. And this will be a reality read part 3 for the saga that I have been, no, this is part 4, for the saga that I have been doing on this situation with Kenya and Brittany Edie. So for this particular part, we will be diving into Kenya's humiliation presentation of Brittany Edie. And this particular part is probably going to be broken in parts as well, because as I was asking just the, surface level questions, it was a whole lot of coming out. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, based on my spiritual competency and experience, allegedly, shout out to Alexander Rogers, there is some alcoholism going on here. And so that's another reason why this is likely going to be broken up in parts as well. And I'm going to try to simplify it as much as possible so that it's not overwhelming to take in and all of that. But like I said, based on my spiritual competency, experience, and like I said, competency of these cards and such, allegedly, Kenya was very likely very drunk and intoxicated in the process of putting this whole thing together, which honestly will make a lot of sense. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the specificities of these cards and questions. All right, honey. So, getting into this first layout, which I asked, what was Kenya thinking as she was putting the humiliation presentation together? So, for the first card, we have over to the left of them, we have the unexpected event card. Now, mind you, all of these cards are from the Love and Money pop art deck. All right, now, unexpected event is the number 8 on here. Okay, that's a number of infinity. Breaking news of unexpected disputes and rising tensions. Engaged in constant battles and facing relentless opposition. And side note, make sure y'all are caught up. Make sure y'all are caught up on the saga, okay? Go to the playlist. Make sure you caught up, because also specifically in this part, especially because it's probably going to be multiple parts to this part specifically, I don't want to spend too much time calling back to other videos. So make sure you all caught up. All right, now wham, bam, peanut butter and jam. Unexpected events. All right, so as you can see, I have put up another layout up here. This is the elaboration for that unexpected event card, because I was picking up on a lot of different things at play here, and also some like very intangible things going on. Now, as you can see, it is a lot of cards in this layout, so I am going to popcorn through it and get straight to the point with it. So, like I said, I asked for an elaboration on the unexpected events. What were the unexpected events? So, the unexpected events are, just straight out the gate, are represented by the Mystic Monday Tarot card. So, we have the Princess of Swords, the Tower card, the Four of Cups, the Eight of Wands in reverse, and the Knight of Wands. So this entails that whenever in the meantime, in between time, between the vault conflict, the vault confrontation that happened, and Kenya deciding to construct this plan to do a humiliation presentation, in between that time, something was offered to her. Someone went to her with some offers that were along the lines of femininity, and so this is giving love and money, straight up. It's giving love and money. Simply stated, elements of love and money was offered to her. And that comes out represented through both the love and money cards, the love and money pop art cards, and the Santa Muerte oracle cards that I have here. Those are the 3 centered cards at the very top that are big, square, and colorful. And from left to right, it is the love card. In the middle, it is the emotions card. And the third card is flux. All of those things entail Kenya being met with heartfelt love, heartfelt opportunities for love to re-begin again, restart the relationship, and try to make the most out of a bad situation. I'm hearing trying to transmute the bad into more so a redemption story, wanting to show something going totally left out of nowhere and being able to rectify itself, wanting to make the most out of that, out of what happened, such as, okay, it got to this place, Brit spazzed, but it don't have to, stop right there, don't have to go any further. We can reel this back in and get y'all back to at least a frenemy level, similar to what happened with Shamia and Angela. So I had to ask about who the Princess of Swords is, given the fact that it's the Princess of Swords, and I already know that Brit is an air sign. I just went directly to asking, is it Brit Edie? And the answer is yes here, allegedly, according to the card. by the Ten of Wands, it is Brit. So it's given that Brit was really intentional in doing her due diligence to try to rectify this situation. And I'm not gonna tell no lie to y'all. I didn't believe that Brit was being genuine about her apology. I really felt like she was only doing it to save her own ass and save her job, you know, and all of that. But based on what's coming through this reading, it seems like at least inside of Brit, in Brit's mind, heart, and soul, she genuinely wanted to rectify the situation, not just for her job, but on a soul level. She really wanted to try again with Kenya, because I'm hearing that she was really ashamed of herself for allowing herself to get to that place. Because it's given that she has been on a long journey, and this is being represented by this Ten of Wands here. It's given that she's been on a plentiful and very intentional journey of trying to clear up what she perceives as bad karma, consequences of her not having really good emotional stability. And this has been coming up consistently in the different parts of this reading, that Brit has anger issues. She has some emotional instability issues. I'm hearing hyper vigilant and therefore hypersensitive. So she is easily triggered, but at the same time, she is not as delusional as she's been made out to be. And that has been said consistently throughout the readings too. So interesting. And based on the fact that that does keep coming up, and she's being represented here by the Ten of Wands, it seems like the universe is on her side. Regardless of how anybody else feels about her, the universe seems to be on her side. And I am hearing them say that she has been doing genuine work. Like, in her mind, body, and soul, she has been intentionally trying to edify herself and be a greater person for herself and for her kids. And so a part of that is doing her anger management and continuing to practice and execute the tools that she's learned over the time of this journey that she's been on. And she felt like she had a Sisyphus moment in that moment at the vault, Sisyphus, however you say it. And what that means is, like, you pushing a boulder all the way to the top of the mountain, and as soon as you get to the top, it rolls back down. And so it's like, damn, it's like I did all of that shit for nothing, and I gotta start all the way the fuck back over. And I'm hearing Spirit say too, that because she's been so genuine in this, that's a part of the reason why they are on her side. And also, they see what Kenya has been doing. They see what Kenya has been doing with her friends and all of that, and the energy transfers and the intent, be it subconscious or conscious, that Kenya has had to basically do destiny swap shit on Brit. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm hearing this, it was a bit of somewhat instant karma, what happened with Kenya as a result of her doing that humiliation presentation. And that's not me saying it, that's the channeling. Once more, you ain't gotta believe it. This is based on my spiritual education competency and experience. All right. This one also entails that she was making a lot of efforts to get in contact with Kenya. So she may have contacted her directly. I can't exactly tell if the attempt to contact her directly was successful or not. I'm willing to bet that it wasn't. Because being the fact, it does look like, you know, there were other people that were sent one way or another, or made the decision to contact Kenya on her behalf, try to have conversations with Kenya on her behalf. And another person that's coming, well, a person that's coming up again, that did so is Kelly. She's coming up again in this part as one of the people that was really advocating and representing, if you will, for Brit as it concerns this situation, and trying to rebuild the bridge or mend the bridge between Kenya and Brit. I was going to say Bridget and Brit. And I'm hearing that everybody that's been involved, that's been able to witness everything from the very beginning and all the mean times and between times that wasn't able to make it to filming and all of that, they were very disappointed and disheartened by what ended up happening with Brit and Kenya, because, and I am going to recall this from previous readings of this series, but from the beginning, as according to the reading and the channeling and all of that, they were supposed to be fun girlfriends, you know, maybe have a friend of me element, you know, type shit, have some fun shade or whatever, but it wasn't supposed to be all of that. They were supposed to be a dynamic duo on some shit. And it keeps flashing up, it keeps coming to me similar to Shamia and Angela, which seems as though in a way it's become Shamia and Kelly now. Okay, so, but I'm getting both examples with that. The fun girl tip more so with Shamia and Kelly, that type duo, and the frenemy tip more so between Shamia and Angela. So that is what production and, you know, everybody else was pretty much in agreement on, at least thought that everybody was in agreement on. And when everything ended up going how it went, they were very disappointed in that. So they were trying very hard to mend this bridge. And I wanted to show y'all the cards that came out when I asked for elaboration and confirmation on the messages from the Ten of Wands card that was representing and saying that, yes, the Princess of Swords is representing Brit Edie. Okay, so these cards that came out, we have the Eight of Cups, it's at the bottom, and then the King of Swords, you see it there, and then over to the right of them is the Queen of Wands. The King of Swords is representing the part of Brit that really wanted to rectify the situation and be the bigger person, not just for the sake of ego, but genuinely challenge herself to be the bigger person. And I'm hearing from Spirit that she was really like thinking about and channeling her daddy in this moment. It seems as though her daddy is someone who was really on her when he was alive about, you know, how she carries herself and how she handles conflict. And so, like I said, it's given that she was really channeling him and hearing him inside of herself in the process of processing the whole situation and making the decision to make things right. The Queen of Wands is representing the aspect of her having been on this long journey of trying to edify herself and work on her emotional stability and her conflict resolution skills. Okay. And if you know anything about the Queen of Wands is a representation of that specifically. It is a fiery spirited woman who is very powerful, who is very dual in her energy of being very sweet and nurturing and bubbly, and she will also cut your head off. But unlike the Princess of Wands in reverse, or even the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Queen of Wands right side up knows when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run. And she knows when she is justified in chopping somebody's head off to a point where she will not cut her nose off to spite her face, okay? So this is representing, like I said, where Britt realized she had done something of the sort that was of Queen of Wands in reverse nature, what and how she used to be, more so. And she wants to tap back into that Queen of Wands energy that she has been working on all of this time. And like I said, kind of repent her sins. Get back on track to committing to her journey, because I'm hearing that she's been doing a great job all the way leading up to getting on this show. Being on this show in this type of group and this type of dynamic has been very triggering for her. And amongst the extra stuff that was going on in the meantime, in between time, also just really brought a lot of triggers on her. So she has been caught up in some trauma responding. Its spirit is acknowledging this, you know, amongst the reading, and specifically segueing into this Eight of Cups card. Spirit is acknowledging that they peep how she was backed into a corner. It's not that she's not responsible or doesn't have to be accountable for the decision that she made. And Spirit is saying she was accountable. She checked all the boxes of apologizing. And Spirit is saying that she was genuine. Regardless of if we believe that she was or not, Spirit is saying she was genuine. And she has been genuinely trying throughout this process and been constantly getting dirt kicked in her face. And she has also been being very silenced about her experience throughout this entire process. And Spirit is also saying that this is very reflective of her childhood, her younger days. I'm hearing this is kind of like the story of her life, where whenever she tries to be in social groups, social settings, group things, she has experienced a lot of bullying and mean girl activity. And Spirit is saying that this process with Real Housewives that's happened at this point in this whole situation, they've allowed it because they wanted to create a crossroads situation for her to see, for her to prove to herself as well how committed she is to her process of edification and everything that she's been working on. And with that, they're saying she's been passing a lot of her tests, specifically as it concerns this situation. And they are still in the process of making sure she gets karmic retribution. So, ooh, child. I know a lot of people are like, they are ready for the situation to go ahead and die down. But the way Spirit is talking, oh, buddy. It's just getting started, y'all. And now quickly, back to the layout that was encompassing the things that were offered to Kenya after and in the meantime, between time, the vault incident and Kenya making the decision to do the humiliation presentation. So, over to the left of them is the danger approaching card. It is in reverse, and it says our hidden fears resurface and past wounds reopen with doubt. If we don't face this together, these unresolved emotions will only grow stronger. I'm hearing that something was sent to Kenya from Britt. So we saw on the episode, they're showing this to me right now, and I'm hearing this all at once. We saw on the episode that Britt came into the event with flowers and had a card and all of that. Spirit is saying she attempted that before that episode, before filming that. She had already attempted that in the meantime, in between time, on regular time. I'm hearing and I'm seeing that things were mailed to Kenya, flowers, gifts. I'm hearing and I'm smelling perfume. Really nice stuff. I'm hearing some really nice stuff was sent to her. And if you notice, which I about forgot, just that quick, but if you notice, there's a card there that also says gift. So those things are in correlation. Those are signs and signals of reaffirmation and confirmation, allegedly. But yeah, it's giving that Britt was sending her things and sending her a multitude of messages in a multitude of different ways and trying to contact her and transfer this energy of what is represented on this card, wanting to face the past wounds and the unresolved emotions together for the sake of them growing stronger. I'm hearing that, as referenced in the first installment of this reading, a Spirit intended for Kenya and also production, and Britt thought that, again, everybody thought that everybody was in agreement on, you know, what was going down. Everybody thought that everybody was cool for the most part, okay? So there was the initial thought and intent and all of that that Kenya would take Britt under her wing. Again, they may have had a frenemy type of, relationship, but one way or another, they were meant to have a big sister, little sister type of respect and bond with each other one way or another on some fun girl shit. So I'm hearing that when the situation went down and everything has played out as it's played out, Britt was really feeling like jaded on some shit. Like, damn, I really got my hopes up once again that a, maternal figure, a big sister figure was going to, and that's bringing up her sister wounds, which makes sense as she's talked about on the show. But it's given that she opened herself up once again to someone that she thought was going to be like a hierophant to her, and she got spit on once again. But in the midst of remembering her goals on a spiritual level in this journey that she's been on, and like I said, her daddy channeling through her, she decided, you know what, I'm not going to get wrapped up in that. I'm not going to get stuck on that. I'm going to be the change that I want to see. And I am going to extend the olive branch to her and say, hey, how about I invite you with me and we face these unresolved emotions with each other? Because I'm hearing that Britt has mommy wounds as well. And Britt is noticing, I'm hearing that in her process. And she was like, you know what? This is a woman who we have similar experiences, not to a T, but specifically as it concerns mommy wounds. And I'm hearing, I know we see her and her mama, they have a relatively good relationship on the show as far as what we can see. But I'm hearing that it hasn't always been that way, that it's been a long time coming. It's giving me that Britt's mama, and this is what I'm hearing through the channeling, y'all. It's given that at a point in time for a lot of Britt's life, her mama and her sisters were jealous of the relationship that she had with her father. And so that created cycles of a lot of contention with her mama and her sisters, and it reflecting itself in her relationships with her and other women in general. Similar to Kenya's experience. Again, Britt may come from a two-parent household, but that doesn't mean her upbringing and her experience of her parents, or one or the other one, was perfect, that she can't be traumatized. I just felt the need to pinpoint that ending part specifically, that even though Britt comes from a two-parent household and all of that, because I heard some people saying that, like, this girl come from a two-parent household, what's she doing porn, what's she doing being an escort, Kenya had a bad upbringing, her mama hated her and this and that, that's why we giving her grace and all of that, y'all want us to feel bad, she had a two-parent household, like, because she had a two-parent household, she can't be traumatized. She can't have, experienced things herself, let alone from her parents. Because just because your parents are physically present doesn't mean that they're doing absolutely everything that they're supposed to be doing. Nobody's perfect, of course, and shit. Come on, y'all. Just use your brain, okay? So, Spirit is saying they have similar mommy wounds, and so this is also what created somewhat of a crossroads situation of this can go one way or the other. They can be the best of friends, or they can be the worst of enemies. And for the most part, Spirit and everybody else wanted them to at least be frenemies. Wanted to see if they could find a way to, execute the duality of that. So yeah, all of this to say, Britt was definitely laying it on thick, sending some stuff out, trying to make amends with Kenya, sending her gifts, sending her kind words, acknowledging her wrongdoing and acknowledging their commonalities. And I'm hearing, acknowledging the things that she really admires about Kenya, despite, whatever else. So to move on, y'all heard me acknowledge the gift card, but I did not read it off. So it's sideways, we get both sides of the card. So right side up, it says, embrace your uniqueness and offer it as a special gift to the world. Cherish yourself. Recognize your inner beauty. Embrace your worth. The other side says, instead of seeing you as the gift you are, I doubted your value and it created a rift between us. I wish I had seen your worth sooner. And so that further elaborates, confirms, and reaffirms what was just said about some of the notes and cards and elements of communication that Britt was using to express to Kenya her uniqueness and, encouraging her to offer it to the world. Basically, being to Kenya what she wanted Kenya or expected Kenya to be to her, being the change that she wanted to see. Y'all heard me just say that she was, acknowledging a lot of specialities about Kenya and really trying to really make it clear, I don't want no problems. So then to the middle, we have imprisonment in reverse. And it says, I want to follow the rules we set and not be tempted to break them. I value our boundaries and know that they protect us. This is directly referencing, I want to commit to what we agreed on in the beginning. I like the vibe we had before. What the fuck happened? I want to figure out what happened and figure out how we can get back to the place that we were, if not better. And in the process, I would like to not be tempted to threaten you with whips and pistols. I want to draw y'all's attention to these three cards right here. Over to the left of them is the Flux card, which in a nutshell and specific to this situation has to do with law of attraction, as above so below, the law of exchanges of energy. In a sense, karma. Not exactly karma, but there are karmic elements in it. This essentially entails someone's shit catching up with them. And this can also entail generational karma, sins of the mother and or the father. It's another representative and reaffirmation and confirmation about their mommy wounds that they share in certain generational pathologies that they have in common, Britt and Kenya. This is also referencing Britt having acknowledged you know, certain karmic elements on her end dealing with this situation, because she knows certain things that she's done in the past. Y'all, if y'all could see the visions that I am having, that they are giving me flashes of concerning things that Brit has done as forms of revenge and retaliation. Most of it is violent. Gonna put it like that. I don't see much like humiliation or sociopathic stuff like that. It's not giving any of that. It's giving violent. It's coming back. Is that song is channeling back through again, child. If you caught up, you already know what it is. I don't fight. I don't argue. I just hit that bitch with a bottle. And so she's been in a state of learning that it doesn't matter who starts to fight. Just as well as her actions can cost her, so can her reactions. And she's learned that lesson before, and Spirit tapped her on her shoulder with this situation real quick. Be like, hey. And she got it in gear, was doing her due diligence, crossed off all the boxes. She tried really hard to get to Kenya to try to make the situation right. With that being said, the other element of this is Kenya's shit also catching up with her. And the manner of the way that Brit triggers her. And I'm not going to tell no lie to y'all. Up until the vault situation, Spirit is saying and showing to me that Brit really didn't do anything to Kenya until the vault situation and popping off at the mouth. Now, of course, you know, she's talked about some of the things that was being done to her, things she perceived as shady, all of this, that, and the third. But she hadn't done anything to retaliate. And on top of the way that she was being silenced amongst all of that, it really just built up and popped up top once they got to the vault. And all of that is being said to say that Brit wasn't actively doing anything to trigger Kenya. Kenya is triggered by Brit and what she represents. Again, make sure you're caught up. Make sure you're caught up. So that segues us perfectly to the Four of Cups, because this also brings back up the gift card. Brit was supposed to be a gift to Kenya. Kenya refused to receive it. That's represented by the Four of Cups card. If you see, there are 3 cups there that the girl is meditating with, if you will, and there's one floating above her. And the Four of Cups card and the imageries that come along with it often represent someone, for one, not being grateful for what they already have and steady asking and begging for more. And then when they get certain things that they do ask for, when they get certain things that are meant to be gifts to them, they don't accept it. They have a hard time with receiving. And Spirit is saying you can also perceive those 3 cups at the bottom as empty, while the cup at the top is full. So this is someone, and here, that girl is being represented as Kenya. This is someone, i.e. Kenya, according to the cards in the channel, who is more attracted to lack, is more attracted to people who are on a frequency of lack, because it makes her feel bigger. And so Spirit is saying that Kenya really didn't have any intent on embracing her in any type of way that would create or facilitate a way for Brit to be perceived as on the same level as her, let alone better. Because while she recognizes that Brit's cup is full, that Brit is, you know, a full cup for the most part, at least from her perspective, and from the perspective of people who Kenya values the opinion of, Brit is a full cup. Brit represents wealth and abundance. One way or another, Brit has something with her that where when people link up with her, great things happen with them. When they embrace her, great things happen for them. It's giving that she's one of those people that you could just say hey to them, and then just that cross of energy, just that simple exchange of energy can start a domino effect of random blessings dropping into your life type shit. It's giving that she's one of those type of spirits. Now, when we get to the 8 of Wands in reverse, and I'm gonna go back to that 4 of Cups, but with this 8 of Wands in reverse, this is Kenya feeling desperate when it comes to production, when it comes to her spot and her position on the network, and her concept of imagery and her reputation with her fans. She felt like she was losing her footing. She felt like she was going backwards, specifically with production. And I'm hearing that for whatever reason, she felt like her fans were shaking on her. Like she doesn't feel stable, or she didn't feel stable with her fans for some reason. She felt like she was letting her fans down for some reason. Spirit is even saying for some reason. She felt like she was letting her fans down. I guess because she hasn't acted a whole fool in a while, and somebody just acted a whole fool on her. Amongst the fact that she wasn't able to get production to do what she wanted them to do, she is noticing other people be accommodated better than her. I'm hearing not just Brit. I'm hearing that Kenya is not a production favorite at all. And there are some other things that are coming up, and we're going to get into that momentarily. But with this being said, this is what's being channeled up through here, through the collective of these 3 cards that I have present, and specifically to the 4 of Cups and the 8 of Wands in reverse. Kenya received all of the messages and attempts and gifts and all of that from Brit. And she said, you know what? This girl is really not, you know, nobody I need to be physically afraid of. It's giving that while Brit was genuinely trying to rectify the situation, Kenya was taking it as a sign of weakness. She was taking it as a sign of pussified surrender. Like, okay, maybe we have broken this girl down. Maybe she, needs this check more than I perceived. So back specifically on this Four of Cups here. This is Kenya looking at the 3 cups below as a multitude of options that she was going to go with. Such as, I'm not certain exactly what those options are, but what they are giving me is that when she received all of these messages and all of this representation from Brit and all these gifts and things of that nature, she said, okay, I ain't gotta worry about the physicality aspect, but I am finna dig the knife in and lay my dick on the table and let her know I'm not to be fucked with. It's giving like a mama who got a phone call from school about their child cutting up, and soon as she gets to him, the child is like, I'm sorry, mama, I'm so sorry. No, yes, I did it, and I'm so sorry. And mama be like, oh, baby, okay, I understand, I'm glad you were honest, okay, but guess what, you still finna get this ass whooping. I'm not gonna take your phone like I intended to, since you was honest about it. I'm not gonna, take away your TV privileges and all of that. But you still gonna get this ass whooping, because you need to remember how this all felt and the consequences that came with it, so that you don't do that shit no more, at least not with me. That's what it's given. So that said, that floating cup above her head is in fact the humiliation presentation. And before I continue, I will reiterate, all of this is based on my spiritual education and competency and the channelings that I am receiving by way of the cards and my experiences and competencies. So, allegedly, shout out to Alexander Rogers. And we are back with the jump off. Now, I know that went a little bit differently than what I said initially, but we are on divine time. And like I said, when I pull these cards, I can perceive the gist of them when I first pull them. I take my pictures and all of that. But the channeling doesn't start for real until I actually start going through the recording process. So while I may have my own mental intent of how some shit finna go, I can't ignore calls to action and intentional channelings when they come through. Like I said, I pray over my readings before I start and also throughout. So everything is divinely timed and divinely designed as it concerns this here process. You know the saying, you want to hear God laugh? Tell him your plans. So boom, TikTok. This is actually going to be the part that probably don't take that long. Now, all of that we just went through in the previous layout that I put up, the breakdown that I did and all of that was covering the unexpected event card. And this whole layout that is present in front of us right now that we started out with originally is covering Kenya's thought process and putting together the humiliation presentation. So with that, Spirit wanted me to go through that whole breakdown of the elaboration of the unexpected event card so that we can have an understanding of what contributed to her deciding that she would do the humiliation presentation specifically, as opposed to anything else, because that is a grand question that a lot of people have been asking. Why didn't she do this? Why didn't she do that? Why did she decide that it would be what she did at that event? So in hindsight, that definitely makes sense as to why they divinely designed it for us to go through it as we went through it, as opposed to my mental intent and thought process initially. Okay. So to continue on through the rest of this layout, what was Kenya thinking now that she's made the decision of what she's going to do? What was her thought process throughout constructing it? And the card that I want to start off with here is the gift card, which I'll notice was in the previous layouts. We talked a lot about this card, right? So as it is showing up here, again, as a part of Kenya's thought process, it's again, reiterating, reaffirming, and confirming that a lot of this has to do, this thought process and constructing this has to do with Brit doing the most to try to make contact with her to rectify the situation. So it's giving like, again, I got that. Okay. You still gonna get a little tap though. Still gonna tug on your wig a little bit. And if you notice, right beneath the gift card up there at the top to the left, if you will, it's kind of in the middle, but it's at the top kind of to the left. There is a unofficial card that got caught in the shot in the background. And that's the warning card. You see what's showing on it is bang. Kenya wanted to deliver a fatal blow. That bang aspect that's coming through. Kenya wanted to prove a point. Kenya wanted to make it where, ooh, you touch your tail? You surrender? Okay, you showing me the pussy in you? Great. Let me make sure it stays that way. So she wanted to deliver a fatal blow. And Spirit is saying that she thought back to one of her lowest points. And it's channeling as if it's something very similar on the spectrum of what she decided to do to Brit. And that is playing a large role in her making the decision to do what she did in the way that she did, because she knew it would be a fatal blow, because when it was done to her, it was fatal. That's crazy. And you know, that makes a whole lot of make even more sense. But let's keep pushing. Now, the next official card is the gambling card, and it is in reverse. So we're dealing with a reverse message that is there, and it says, even if you proceed with your uncertain plans, I always care about you, but I'm worried these risks might drive us apart. Let's find a secure path together. So this is representing moments where Kenya's higher self was trying to kick in. There's a part of herself that would come in every now and again and be like, Kenya, no, this, you sure you want to do it? No. Oh, you remember how you felt, but then you remember this bitch just fucking tried you and you got a motherfucking point to prove. You got a rep to protect. And I haven't acknowledged any of the other numbers on the card, but I'm being called to now. This 66 that is on that card is representing the angel and devil aspect. It's like she had the angel and the devil on her shoulders. One side was saying, get that bitch, get that bitch. The other side was saying, Kenya, you better than this. But Kenya, if you go in a Americanized, I guess Christian sense of the aspect, Kenya threw her third six in there and said, bitch, it's demon time, what's up? And what that gives is some darkness, her toxic feminine, her shadow self. She fucked around and allowed it to come in and consume her. No pun intended, but that segues us perfectly to the consumerism card, which is, you know, slightly above diagonal to the gambling card. And it's right side up, so we deal with the right side up message. Consumerism focuses on material wealth and neglects true happiness. Unending desire for more and satisfaction is elusive. Y'all, that is literally the Four of Cups as it was read out through this reading, just showing up right there in another card, low key, high key. That's crazy. Because honestly, I don't often see that card. And when I have seen that card, it's kind of confused me in a way. I'm not going to get too deep into why right now because that'll get us off track, but it kind of confused me in a way. But now I'm understanding it even more so by way of this situation and what is being communicated. So y'all just heard it said, Kenya fucked around and let her shadow self consume her. And it led us to this consumerism card, which talks about focusing on material wealth, neglects true happiness, unending desire for satisfaction. Unending desire for more and satisfaction is elusive. Those are shadow traits. And so with all of that, because it's very simply stated what is communicating, right? Especially as we discussed the Four of Cups card. However, a deeper message that's coming through here is that Kenya has gotten lost in the sauce of not being able to tell the difference between reality and reality TV. Amongst everything that she's been through in her life on a personal level and experienced, she has gotten consumed by her shadow self. Who she's led with on the show has been her shadow self. And because she hasn't done her due diligence to remind herself who she is in the meantime, in between time, or even truly face her demons and her wounds, it's allowed her to have a false sense of confidence in egotistical shit. A false sense of confidence in leading with her shadow, which is totally unstable. So also another part of this is where the alcoholism aspects come in. Allegedly. But this has been channeling through every reading, and I've been trying very hard to ignore it because that's a serious subject and a sensitive subject, and you know, that's nothing to be playing with or even like, you know, try to shame anybody with or no shit. So I just want to make it clear that that's not my intent. That's just literally what has been channeling through the reading, through all of the parts. And it's at a point where I can no longer ignore it, beat around the bush about it, put sugar on shit for it, or whatever, honey. So another part of this message is something that has been a barrier in Kenya truly facing her shit and having a clear, stable sense of who she actually is, who she wants to be, should be, the difference between Kenya on the show and you know, in real life. And the thing about it is, and what she's having to learn the hard way, is when it comes to reality TV, even with acting, like actual acting, if you keep doing something over and over and over and over and over again, even if you in your mind are playing pretend, the universe don't know you playing pretend. So what you put out in the universe materializes. The more, so even if in the beginning when they started the show she was quote unquote faking being a villain, Spirit is making it very clear at this point that at this point it's consumed her. The act has consumed her. She is now a villain. She is now what she despises. She is consumed by her own darkness. And this is what's channeling through. She has been coping with these things through alcohol. I'm hearing that it hasn't been a consistent alcoholism problem throughout her adulthood or anything like that. I'm hearing Mark. I literally just heard Mark. So it's given that when things started to get shaky with Mark, that's around the time the bad habit really started. I'm hearing and saying that, you know, in past phases in her life. She would have her moments where, you know, she take a day and have her drink and listen to music and let it all out and this and that. And then she snaps out of it and she gets right back a moving. But somewhere around that situation with Mark, things started to get out of hand. And ever since, she's been getting consumed with consumption and using alcohol to cope and to dissociate from difficult emotions. All that said, amongst this thought process for this humiliation presentation, she was so constantly conflicted between the angels and demons on her shoulders. She even started using alcohol to cope with her feelings and to dissociate from her feelings in the midst of putting this whole thing together. And y'all know that makes so much fucking sense, because even on the episode at the event, she was steady busting back shots, and the production and the cameraman were clearly intentionally showing her throwing back shots, trying to build up liquid courage to commit to what she intended to do. Because Kenya's higher self, and as it's being channeled here, Kenya's higher self knows and knew from the beginning that this was a bad idea. But Kenya has not had an intimate relationship with her higher self in so long that, as been said a multitude of times at this point, she is consumed by her shadow. It's giving me the image of Venom from the comics. She's consumed by her own venom now. And that is so sad. The next card we are dealing with, and this is the last but not least, and it is the peeping card. It's right side up, so we're dealing with the right side up, okay? Maintains a facade and guard your privacy with care. Keeping secrets might protect you for a while, but they won't last. Now, y'all, as y'all can see, I ain't asked nothing about Ming Lee. Spirit just shot this through me, literally. Okay? So I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little shocked that a nigga named Paul with that, because I was gonna ask about her in the next part. But I guess Spirit said, honey, get her on out there. So y'all, this peeping card here. As you can see, there are 3 women in that keyhole peeping through. Ooh, child. Spirit is saying to me, those 3 women are Kenya, Akila, and Ming Lee. This is calling back to them parties and powwows from the previous parts of this whole reading saga. And if you must also recall, online, Ming Lee talking about having photos and such of Brit in her phone, videos, photos, or whatever, what have you, of Brit in her phone from a party or some parties or whatever. So needless to say, I am still going to ask for direct confirmation in the next part, but it is coming through this card that the girl that's being represented as Ming Lee in the imagery is the main girl that you see through that keyhole, the one with the red hair. And they are saying Ming was a personified devil on Kenya's shoulder, giving her a multitude of the information, tools, and ideas to go into this humiliation presentation. And they have been collecting information on this girl for a while. Ming, especially and particularly. This didn't start from the vault situation. This is going before Brit even got casted on the show, before even filming. And so what Spirit is saying Kenya's thought process is behind this card specifically. Of course, like I said, Ming putting a whole lot of bugs in her ear and batteries in her back. Oh, child. Y'all, don't be surprised if Ming Lee and Kenya fall out soon. For real. Don't be surprised if they end up having a back and a forth and online soon. Because I'm hearing what y'all, not y'all, I don't know how everybody feels about Brit, but how a lot of people feel about Brit and what a lot of people think Brit is and how they think she is actually Ming Lee. And I mean towards Kenya. She a fan, she a fan, she a fan. She a fan, she a fan, she a fan. Creepy ass girl, she a 69 god. Creepy ass girl, she a 69 god. Kenya, run for your life. Kenya, run for your life. And so y'all, that's one side that's coming out from that card, and the other side is reaffirmation and confirmation of Kenya wanting to make Brit feel how she has felt. It's given that Kenya has, whether she's been exposed blatantly in some way similar to what she did to Brit, or she has felt exposed in that way, be it just being a public figure for how long she's been, and the lot of the things that she has gone through, you know, wearing that title, and having been a villain on Real Housewives also, having been slut shamed, accused of being a side chick, accused of wanting to break up people's marriages, you know, the Apollo situation and all of that. And Kenya has experienced a multitude of slut shaming in a multitude of different ways. I'm hearing in ways that the public has been able to see and in ways that the public has not been able to see. So it gives Kenya literally, be it mindfully or mindlessly, but it's given both at this point, the way that things have come out, that she tried to destiny swap on Brit. She wanted to make Brit feel how she feels about herself. Oh, my. Again, this is stemming from her feeling like Brit is cool as a fun girl, or she was cool for Kenya as a party associate and all of that. But oh, you trying to be a wife, you trying to be a public figure like me, you trying to be on my show, you trying to be a peach holder, you don't deserve all that. You a hoe. Like, you're an actual hoe. You don't deserve that. That's Kenya's mindset. She's internalized and adopted from how other people have treated her and what other people have done to her. Basically, because Britt is a busted wide open, gang banging, bottle throwing hoe, she don't deserve shit. Stay over there in the club, twerking with the girls, stay in the nightlife, stay in the dark over there. Don't bring your ass on the show trying to be a wife. Even though you are a wife, you don't deserve it because you a hoe. I should be a wife. Now that's sad. That is very sad. That is very sad. Child, Spirit is telling me to leave it at that, because I'm hearing we're gonna get into some fickle meat and potatoes in this next part when I get to asking about the event itself. I know it may seem like I'm dragging it out, but one of my special gifts is getting to the roots of things that people are specifically trying real hard to hide. So, especially with situations like this, and it's dealing with people who have identity issues and stuff like that, it calls for necessity to really break shit down piece by piece, crumb by crumb, as much as possible type shit. And this situation is so peculiar and unique in that way because literally everybody involved is trying desperately hard and or has been trying desperately hard at some point in the situation to hide shit. Hella shit. Britt, I'm hearing for the main part, has been in attempts to heal from her past. She's been running from her past. And so this situation calls for her to face it and really actually rise above it and evolve beyond it. It's a similar situation to, like, you know, in your healing process when you're at that isolation stage or that hermit mode stage and you think you got it. You finally are healed. And then you reemerge yourself and you realize, oh shit, now I got to practice everything I learned. Oh shit, some of these wounds ain't as healed as I thought they was. Yeah, because the hermit mode was for study and practice and all that. Your reemergence is now you got to perform. And how many encores you're called for is based on how well you satisfy the audience. Now, who's your audience? Now, of course, there are multiple audiences here. The literal audience of Real Housewives of Atlanta, the internal audience of an individual's conscious and internal selves and dimensions and all of that, and whatever else you're serving in your experience of life, including your higher purpose, your higher being that you commit to. So God, now this calls for priorities. So as y'all can see, everybody's priorities was called into question, specifically Britt and Kenya. So who you gonna top prioritize to satisfy? Are you gonna top prioritize to satisfy God? Are you gonna top prioritize to satisfy the Real Housewives of Atlanta's audience? Spirit is saying, according to the reading that was just done, and also is channeling now, Spirit chose to commit to satisfying the audience as her top priority, as well as satisfying the audience that is her ego and her shadow self. Okay? While Britt has tried to commit to both. And as Spirit has said in the reading, she has passed a lot of tests. I can't say she passed all of them or, you know, anything. Nobody's perfect. But according to what has channeled through this reading, Britt has passed a lot of her tests as it concerns prioritizing what audiences she's in tune with satisfying. And I'm hearing Spirit say also, child, I swear this ain't me. But Spirit is saying also, that's why Britt still has her job and Kenya does not. A lot of the times, now this is me talking, a lot of the times when we can't figure out like how something makes sense, it's usually spiritual, because as been said in the reading also, and me personally, I believe this, we have observed that Kenya has been ostracized by production. She has been victimized and mistreated by production. Okay, so that is one thing. Also, Britt did do her due diligence, what she had to do in order to keep her job on the surface, which is check off all the boxes of apologizing, rectifying the situation, showing that she had no weapons on her at the time, all of that. Spirit is saying that the deeper level of this, which has also been communicated throughout this entire saga, that this situation is very spiritual. It's divinely designed. It's very karmic. It's fated, as in F-A-T-E-D. I spelled it out because I know I'm country, so it's fated, okay? Everybody has still had their free will in the situation, and a lot of things could have gone either way, similar to, like, you know, the newer HD universe GTA 5 games where you're doing a mission, it has a set coding, but at certain instances you get options. Do you want to kill that person or do you want to spare them? Do you want to go through this door or do you want to go through that door? All of it is fate, but you still have your free will. So it's two different destinies that are already planned out for you, but you make the choice on which one you gonna go down, okay? Just to simplify that explanation there, you pick up what I'm putting down. So yeah, this situation was fated spiritually. And based on how everybody used their free will, Spirit is saying, in a spiritual sense, that is also why Britt still has her job, because she did her spiritual work And God received her pure intent, and God rewarded her for it. And like was said before throughout this reading, God is not done rewarding her. God is not done also distributing reparations to her, if you will, for everything that she's been through, even before the Kenya situation. Kenya don't even realize how she's created a frequency for Britt to get a boatload of her karmic retribution. Not just off the Kenya situation, like I said, but also from past situations from her childhood, past lives, all that shit. Ooh-wee. This is such a cautionary tale. Oh my God. All the while, it's also a tale of the concept of it don't matter what nobody else, as far as humans, feels like you deserve. It don't matter what these other humans think of you, what they know about you, what they expose, what they try to do with you or do to you. What's for you is for you, as long as you are open to recognizing what is for you. Therefore, making yourself able to receive what is for you. And if you're confused about what that means, go back to the channeling of the Four of Cups card. You can have a whole lot of options in front of you with your name on it, but that doesn't mean that they are all best for you. Britt could have also continued to drive it home with the pistols and the whips, but she didn't. Regardless of how you feel about it, regardless if you think it was genuine, she chose to do differently. And according to this reading, according to spirit, it was genuine. So that opened her up to more of what was best for her. Kenya, on the other hand, had opportunities, multiple opportunities to stop, to not do what she did, to allow the situation to fix itself, to be the bigger person, to be the 54 should be mature woman that she should be. She had opportunities to do that, and she did not do that. She decided that it was more important for her to top prioritize her ego and satisfying what she felt like her fans wanted to see from her. So, as the old saying goes, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Britt played chess. If you want to link it to the spiritual sense, she played poker, she played spades. And in this battle of the air signs, she came out the ace of spades, the ace of swords, the ace of air. Because she did her due diligence to tap in with her higher self, not just operate on the earth realm frequency of the shit. Kenya chose to abandon her higher self, and she's been abandoning her higher self for a long ass time as it concerns what came out in this reading. And here we are. So that's it for this part. And in the next part, like I said, we're going to cover the event itself. And I'm definitely going to designate some time. I'm not, at this point, I can't guarantee that it'll be in the next video. The next video is going to definitely be on the event itself. But I am going to designate specific videos to read Britt as an individual, Kenya as an individual, Ming Lee as an individual, as well as Kenya and Ming's dynamic and Britt and Ming's dynamic, as well as their dynamic as a collective. So, in simple terms, there will be a video designated to unpacking the individuals and the collective of Ming Lee, Britt, and Kenya. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I've milked this cow dry, and I'm thoroughly appreciative of the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these splendid quotes for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. The emphasis on liberation. Mwah.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.